Now, guys, as always, when something important takes place in society, especially when there's something that people have a reason to be panicked about, someone will come out and claim that Nostradamus, the 16th century astrologer, has predicted it in his book of prophecies. And of course, it's no different with coronavirus 19. I was just scrolling on my phone and found an article, actually a few articles. It seems to be getting traction. This claim that a certain verse from Nostradamus's book of prophecies has predicted COVID-19. And at first glance, you may think, this is reasonable. There's some information here which can be linked. Of course, we know that Nostradamus's verses can be at times a bit ambiguous. Obviously, they are coded. They are meant to only be deciphered by certain people in a certain way. So that's the reason for that. But then we have this claim here. We have this verse which kind of sounds legit. So let's read it out loud and see what we think about it. Reads as follows. The sloping park, great calamity. Through the lands of the West and Lombardy, which is North Italy, which is the epicenter of the coronavirus, continues. The fire in the ship, plague and captivity. Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn fading. This last verse is very important because Nostradamus here gives astrological indications. He says that when this happens, Saturn will be fading and Mercury will be in Sagittarius, right? So first of all, we hear about Lombardy. That's the epicenter in Italy. Okay, that's where coronavirus, the focal point of coronavirus in Europe and in the Western world is right now. Okay, good, legit. Sloping park, great calamity. First of all, it's not yet a great calamity. It remains to be seen if it's going to transform into a great calamity. The only reason that could happen is if it turns into an economic calamity, which there are great chances of. And of course, we have Uranus in Taurus. Guys, I spoke about Uranus and Taurus. Might want to go back and watch that video on hybrid astrology. Actually, I may shoot an updated one and upload it here. But back to this prediction. Some of these things seem to add up. Fire on the ship, it may refer to how trade can be impacted negatively about this. But fire on the ship seems like a bit more like something struck the ship, right? Something, the ship is burning. The ship has been struck by a missile or something, by a cannon, right? So it really sounds like that. But I guess you could stretch it to think, well, trade is going to be impacted, fire on the ship. Okay. I don't think that that's the way that Nostradamus did his predictions, with kind of like going out of his way to make things loose and ambiguous that way. I think there is a more refined wisdom to his choice of words, but I cannot know for sure. So let's say it's possible. It says here, plague and captivity. Well, we do have plague. Do we have captivity? Well, people are, there's travel bans. People can't leave their homes. So I guess there is captivity. Okay. Mercury in comes to the astrological part. Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn fading. Now, guys, the thing that strikes me about all of these people who write blogs on Nostradamus, first of all, they're great believers in Nostradamus. They write blogs, they write books. There are authors who have entire lines of books. Whenever something happens in the world, they put out a book or a booklet about how Nostradamus predicted these things and into other things and whatnot. Probably make a good buck. Probably some of them are well-intentioned, probably others not so much. But the thing that strikes me is that most of these people are not familiar with astrology. Some of these people do not believe in astrology. How is it that you can believe the predictions of an astrologer who, by the way, in my view, was a great astrologer, was of great wisdom, did great things, had a great inspiration to put out this book? But how can you believe his predictions if you either disbelieve or disregard astrology? How are you going to claim that you understand that one of his predictions is about a certain event without understanding the astrology behind of it, especially since Nostradamus gave such astrological indications in many of his predictions, including this one. So let's look at it. When COVID-19 came into Europe, when it was discovered in Italy, the first case discovered in Italy, Mercury was in Scorpio, not in Sagittarius. Saturn was indeed fading. I'm sorry. So when this disease came to Lombardy, Mercury was in Aquarius and Sun was in Aquarius. So neither Mercury was in Sagittarius, and because Saturn was in Aquarius and Saturn was in Capricorn, means Saturn was one sign behind of the Sun, then Saturn was not fading. Saturn is fading when the Sun is moving faster than Saturn. Saturn is moving slow. As the Sun catches up to it, Saturn fades because the light of the Sun is so bright, and so we can no longer see Saturn. It passes behind of the Sun, obscured by the light of the Sun. So when the Sun moves towards Saturn, Saturn is fading. Sun moves away from Saturn, Saturn is appearing, okay? Growing. When Sun is in Aquarius and Saturn is in Capricorn, Saturn is appearing, not fading. Obviously, Mercury is in Aquarius, not in Sagittarius. Why I said Scorpio? Because when the disease was discovered in Wuhan, China, on the 17th of November, 2020, Saturn was fading, but Mercury was in Scorpio, not in Sagittarius. One sign behind of Sagittarius, right? So, if we use the sidereal zodiac, this is according to the tropical zodiac. What if we use the sidereal zodiac? Then Sun and Mercury would have been in Capricorn when the virus reached Italy, and Mercury would have been in Libra when the virus was detected in China. So, unless we think that somehow Nostradamus managed to predict this so exactly, but somehow his astrology was whack. So he astrologically went to predict these things. Obviously, Mercury in Sagittarius and Saturn fading astrologically, the astrological meanings of these two obviously have something to do with his prediction. Obviously involve the energies developed by these two transits are directly connected to his prediction. But then they are not in place, but his prediction is still... How does that work? How does that work? It doesn't. So this latest craze, Nostradamus craze about COVID-19 has no credence from an astrological point of view. And this is really the only point of view that you need to take into account when talking about Nostradamus and talking about his astrological predictions, especially if he gives the astrological indication right there in the verse, okay? So, guys, a whole lot of people talk about Nostradamus without having any clue whatsoever of astrology. If you're going to study Nostradamus's predictions and you're going to be serious about it, which I don't, by the way. I was just scrolling on my phone, came across this, and thought it was simply ridiculous that this blows up and people are just going with it, obviously out of ignorance. I thought I'd make this video since I was born, because I am on lockdown, so I do have to spend a lot of time in the house, okay? So maybe boredom is most of what this is, and, you know, wanting to get on here and talk to you guys. But if someone talks about Nostradamus, if you're someone who is interested in Nostradamus's predictions, and you have certain people that you follow, check if those people have a good astrological background, if they're reasonably astute in astrology. Otherwise, discard them completely. They have no idea what they're talking about. They have no authority to interpret the predictions of Nostradamus. None at all. It's none of their business. It's none of their business. They are just speculating, trying to get some attention, probably sometimes trying to get some money, probably sometimes trying to validate their own views, their own interpretations of things. So Guys, I hope that this video has been at least entertaining. Obviously, if Nostradamus predicted it or didn't predict it, doesn't change the reality of the situation. I hope that all of you are staying clean, disinfected, and safe. I hope that you are well. I hope that you have everything taken care of. Don't panic. Don't go into, oh my God, what's happening to the world. Many things are going to happen to the world. We're going to be here talking about them and making sure we have the clearest information possible, not from any one source, but directly from the source itself. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, watch my other videos, hit that bell. We're going to be back here soon. Bye-bye.